Okay.
Hi, Johnny.
Hey, hi.
No.
Let's let the people sign in. It was a beautiful weather today. First, one of the nicest days we've had all winter.
Yeah.
The sun, blue sky, it was warm.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember a day like this. It shows
Hey,
you
last week we had something like that. One day or so, I think. One or
exactly.
two.
There's been a few yichidim.
Yeah. I think this rain should stop already. Even though it's good for the grass and it's good in saving water.
Right.
So, Ernie, when are you going to Israel?
We're going April 20th. We're going
So you'll be
for Yom
so
Ha'atzmaut.
you're gonna be there Yom Ha'atzmaut. Okay.
Yom Ha'atzmaut, yes. If you, by the way, Johnny, are you guys going to be there at that
No.
time?
No.
Because you could get, there's tickets available for all those programs and stuff that the Mizrahi is doing.
Yeah. No, unfortunately, no. Not this time.
Okay.
Okay. How is he?
Yeah, now we can start.
Okay, we're on Gimel Amud Aleph. Al Maksavi de Osir Lakanis.
Ernie, I'm sorry, before we start,
Yes.
I don't know. Next Friday is Yom Tov, right? So forget it. Never mind.
Well, I'm gonna be in the valley. So normally I would learn in shul.
Right.
Friday, but so we're gonna have to learn Motzei Shabbos. We'll decide Motzei Shabbos, maybe at 8:30.
Okay.
We'll learn whatever we can. And we'll have to learn on Wednesday a little bit, maybe Wednesday morning,
I'll take it then.
maybe Wednesday afternoon, whatever. We'll have to see what.
Okay.
And
We'll
stuff.
We'll talk. We'll talk when we get close to it.
All right.
Exactly. And then the last days of Pesach, we can learn in shul. So we can make up there because I will be here the last days.
Okay.
Okay, so we're on Gimel Amud Aleph. Al Maksavi de Osir Lakanes. We learned the Machloikes. What is kina? And whether it is to produce jealousy from the husband or jealousy from other people. Well, jealousy is not a good thing. So those Mandarmim must hold that it's really prohibited to warn your wife. So Umandomer Mutter Lakanos, the opinion that says that you're allowed to warn your wife, what is this Lashon Kinui? It can't mean jealousy. On Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak, Ein Kinui El Lashon Asra. Kinui means to warn her. V'cheinu oimer vayikaneh Hashem la'artzo. It says in Yoel, Hashem is warning his people. Tanya, I Rab Meir oimer. Adam oiver aver b'seiser. V'kadosh Baruch Hu machraz alav b'golui. Person doesn't aver secretly. Kadosh Baruch Hu caused it to be announced. Shenemar, the avar alav ruach kina. That the person that got a spirit of warning in him. Ve'ein avira ela loshon achroza. Shneimar vayitzav Moshe vayaviru kol b'machaneh. Eventually, it's going to be announced publicly why she's drinking the water. Reish Lakish Amreina Adam Oiver Avera Elam Ke Nichnas Baruch Shtus. Person doesn't commit Avera like adultery unless some kind of crazy spirit came into him. Shenamar Ish Ki Tisteh Ishto. Tishtek Siv. Like being a shoita, being a crazy person. We said, yes, we learned yesterday that if one age show comes and says she actually saw Maisa Bia between this wife and another man, so based on just one aid, the husband can't live with her anymore. Of course, we can't kill her and baste it. You need two aidim for that. But it's enough to say Osir Labal, Osir Laboy. Sharaglayim Ladavar, Sharekina Love and Istera. Because the case where one aid is believed by Bia, that's a case where there was warning and then sequestration. So there's evidence that that's probably what happened. The aid echad meida shehit meya. In the Torah, when it writes the warning, Basar Sasir V'Tumah Diksiv. It's written after the psukim that deal with sequestration and mamish having relations. Omerlei ve'avar alua ve'avar alav ruach kina ukvar avar. It happened already, so it's talking about the past. Elamayata ve'avar lachem kol chalutza chanami. When Moshe Rabbeinu is trying to get the Bnei Gad and Bnei Ruvain to come with them, and it says Varvar lachem kol chalutz, you're going to say it happened already? So Hasam, no, because Midichtiv and Ichbashah Aretz Lefnei Hashem. The people are going to go in and conquer. V'achar tashu, you'll come back. So that's clear. Mashma de labo. Elahacha here by the Ksota case. Isagadayt kediksivi. The avar basar tumas. If the avar means after she had relations and after being Kina, what does the warning have to do with anything? So it's clear that the warning happens first. Rabbi Shmuel. A person warns his wife only because there's some suspicion. Some ruach came into him. My ruach. Rabbanan Amri ruach tuma. Some kind of bad ruach, because he shouldn't have done it in the first place. But Ravashi Amar ruach tahara. No, it's a ruach that comes from a good place. Where is that? Mistavra Kamadam Ruach Tanya. The Kines Ishto Rishus. The Rishwa. Rishwa says it's not an obligation to warn your wife. If you want to, you can do it. Rabbi Kiva Omer no choiva. Means if you see the wife not behaving in a modest way, then he has a responsibility to warn her. Now I understand, if you learn like Rabbi Akiva, Iyamet Bishma Ruach Tahara Shapir. Eliyamet Ruach Tumma. But if it's not a Ruach Tahara, so Rishus V'choivel Aluni Inch Ruach Tumma B'nafshe? What, can a person willingly put a Ruach Tumma in him? It's clear that it's a Ruach Tahara and not a Ruach Tumma. Gufa. The Kines Ishto, we mentioned this in passing. Now we're going to deal with it in detail. It says the husband warns his wife, Rishus did Rabbi Shmuel. He can choose to do it. Rabbi Kiva Omer Choifa. It's an obligation. So it says, La Yitama. A Kohen going to the funeral of his relatives, it says to her, which means a relative, he can go to the funeral, But there, Rabbi Yishmael says it's a reshus. He doesn't have to go. He may go if he chooses to go. Rabbi Kiva Omer Choiv. No. If the Kohen's relative pass away, he has an obligation to go. Then there's a third case. That an Eved Knani, la'olam bahem ta'avodu. You shall work them forever. You should never free them. Rishus. That you're permitted to work them forever, but you're not mechuyev to do so. Direi Shmuel. Rabbi Kiva Omer Choiva. No, it's an obligation to do so. Amar Papa Labaya. V'amar Rav Mishar Shel Rava. Leim Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Kiva b'chol haTorah kula chipligi. Do they always argue on these issues, whether it's a reshus or chayva? The Mar Amar reshus or Mar chayva Amar no. Only here. Hacha b'kroi pligi. It's not a general machlokes. It's just certain places where there's certain psukim. For example, the kines ishto reshus to Rabbi Yishmael. Rabbi Kiva Omer chayva. My time in Rabbi Yishmael. Why does Rabbi Yishmael say you're not obligated to warn your wife? Savar lo ki aitana. He holds like the following, the Tanya. Rabbi Yezer ben Yaakov Omer. Klapei sha'amra Torah. Lo sisna es achicha b'levav. Don't hate your brother in your heart. Yachol kegonzu. So is it like when he sees his wife not acting in a tznius way, he should stay away from argument? If he has this feeling, he's permitted, he's not mechuyev, but he's permitted to sort of hate his wife and to warn her to stay away from this person. It's just giving reshus, but not a chiyuv. What does Rabbi Akiva say to that? Kinui achrinaksi. It's another pasuk that talks about kinui. So it's extra. So from the extra pasuk, we learn that it's a chayv. What does Rabbi Shmuel do with that other kinui? I did the boy lemichtav, the he nit me'ah. Since there's a pasuk that says, oh, and she was found to actually have beer with the other person, and there's a pasuk v'hi lo nit me'ah. So it's in those cases it's a suffix, still usher. So ksiv nami v'kines ishto, but not that you have to do it. And that's going according to l'chadetana Rabbi Shmuel. Parsha shenemar v'nishnis, any parsha that was written and then it's repeated, lo nishnis ela b'shvil davar shnis chadish bo. It's only repeated for a special din that's a chidush. But the other things that's mentioned there, it's not coming to teach me a new halacha. It's just to repeat the basic principles. The fact that the Torah repeated kinui that was mentioned before, it's not teaching me a new halacha. Now, it also says la itama. The Kohen can go to the funeral. Rishus Direi Shmuel. He's not obligated to go. Rabbi Kiva Omer Choiva, he's obligated. My time to Rabbi Shmuel. I did ichsiv emor lakoni bnei Aaron ve'amar taleim lenefesh lo yitama b'mav. It says, tell the Kohanim they cannot go to funerals. So itzrich lemichtav la yitama. To that funeral, you may go. It's not you must go, but you may go. Now, Rabbi Akiva, there's already a pasuk, ki im l'she'ero akarov elav. To your relatives, you can go. So I already know that you can go to a funeral. Ki im l'she'ero nafka. La yitama lamali l'choiva, to teach me that it's obligatory for a Kohen to go to the funeral of his relative. Rabbi Yishmael, la mitame, ve mitame levareha. Law to the whole body of his sister or relative. Can he go to the funeral? But if they are not sholem, if they've had an amputation, if they've been decapitated, whatever, to such a funeral he cannot go. Rabbi Kiva, Imkain, Lichtav Rachman Allah, go say Lo Yitama. Or La, the Nefesh Lo Yitama Ba'amav Ki Im La. The Lishtik. What's the extra Yitama Lamali? Shma Mina, that there's an obligation to go to the funeral. Rabbi Shmuel, I did the cause of law, cause of Dami Yitam, it's just to complete the pasuk. And we're not learning anything new there, but it's like the principle we said before, like the Tana of Rabbi Shmuel. The Tana of Rabbi Shmuel, called Parsha Shenem V'Nishnis, any Parsha that's repeated, Lo Nishnis El B'Shvil Davar Shnis Chadish Bo. And the Lo Yitama is not a Davar Shnis Chadish Bo, so we don't have to learn something extra from that. The third example is La'olam Bahem Tavodu. An Eved Knani, you're supposed to never free him. Says Rabbi Shmuel, it's Rishus. You're not obligated to work him forever. You're allowed to. Rabbi Kiva Omer Choyv. My time in Rabbi Shmuel, I receive Lo Sechayek Kol Neshama. It says by the Knanim, you're not supposed to keep them alive. You're supposed to kill them. So it's Rechnami Lemichlev Lo Olam Tavodu Lemishrei to teach me that Echad Mikol Umar Shabala Knanis, one of the other Goyim that has relations with a female Knanis, that's the type of Knani that you're allowed to buy. That's why you can call him an Eved Knani. Because what are you doing with a Knani? You're supposed to kill them. So a non-Knani male Goy has relations with a female Knani and they have a child, such a person you can buy. The time some other Goy, Shabala Knanis, that has relations with the Knanis. You can buy him as an Eved Knani. Let's say a male Knani has relation with a female non-Jew who's not a Knani. You might think you could buy him as an Eved Talmud Loimar. No. Asher holidu ba'artzachem min hanoladim ba'artzachem v'lo min hagorim ba'artzachem. So that type of child you cannot buy. Now, Rabbi Kiva, where does he learn all this from? Mimehem tiknu nafka. So la'olam hem tavor lamali l'choiva. Rabbi Yishmael bahem v'lo ba'cheichem. An Eved Yisrael, an Eved Ivri, you're not allowed to work forever. Rabbi Kiva ba'cheichem is safe for the Kran nafka. You learn it from another pasuk because it says, "Uva'cheichem b'nei Yisrael ish ba'achiv lo sirdeba b'forech." You're not allowed to work an Eved Ivri too much. So what does Rabbi Shmuel do with that pasuk? Rabbi Shmuel, I did ksiv uva'cheichem, ksiv nami bohem. It's to be stylistic. Ba'cheichem, that you can't overwork a Yisrael. So it says by the Knanim, la'olam bahem tavoidu. Lechet the Tani Rabbi Shmuel, Tani Rabbi Shmuel, kol parsha shneimar v'nishnis lo nishal b'shvil davar shnis chadish bo. Amar Rav Chizda, znusa bevesa ki karya l'shum shasha. If there's immorality in the household, it's like a worm that destroys the sesame seeds. So immorality destroys a household. Rav Chizda tukva bevesa Hikari l'shumsha. Anger in a house. If the husband is angry all the time and there's kas, so that's like a worm also destroying Kari l'shumsha refers to the family being destroyed. I divided b'yitzit. Now there's nus in the kas that destroy is by the woman. Ava begavra leslanbo. But if a man has to do with nus or anger, that doesn't ruin the whole household. He's not mashpia in the house the way a woman is mashpia. V'amar Rav Chisda batchila kodim shechatu Yisrael, before the Egel Azov, haisa shchina shorim kol echad ve'echad. We didn't need a mishkan. The Hashem Shechina dwelled in everybody's house. Shneimar ki Hashem Elokecha misalach bekerev machanech. Hashem wandered around within our camp. Kiven shechatu, once they sinned with the Egel, nistaka Shechina meyam shneimar v'lo yireh v'cha ervas davar v'shav me'afarecha. And not just the Cheta Egel, any erva, which is the sin of immorality, the Shechina cannot tolerate that. Person does a mitzvah in this world, the mitzvah precedes him in Olam Haba. Your tzidkos walk in front of you. Also sort of march in front of you and announce your arrival by Yom Adin. Shenema yilaftu orchos darkam yalu batov yovid. Rabbi Eliezer Omer kshurubo kakelev. Just like a dog follows his master around, and Aveira follows you around. Shneimar v'lo shamayla lishkavitz aliyosim. That Eishes Potiphar, Yosef didn't listen to her. It means if he would have succumbed, it would have followed him even on the Mabon. It's not awesome. Shayabidin. Uma Edus Arishona. The Edim who come and test, who give witness to the warning that the man gave his wife not to sequester with such and such person. Now that doesn't prohibit them from living together. It's only later on, if there's witnesses that see them going into a room alone together, will there be an Isser. But the initial Edus, Ein Osarta Isser Oilam. Ein Miskayemes Befachos B'Shtayim. We learned Rabbi Yeshua, you need at least two. Edus HaAchrona, the final edus of stira, of sequestration, which is going to prohibit Isra Oilam unless she drinks the sotah waters, and she's found to be kosher. I would also think that you should have at least two. Talmud Omer ve'eid ein ba. Kol sheyesh, any aid is enough. This is the din of Eid Echad B'Tumah, that after Kinus Asira, if there's one aid that sees the woman having physical relations with the man, there's a prohibited relations forever. You don't need two, one aid is enough to do that. Well, now we have a reverse Kavachomer. Uma Edus HaAchrona shows the last final Edus that is a permanent prohibition. Shosarta Isra Oilam, the husband can't live with his wife. Miskayemes Beit Echad, Edus HaRishona Shenosarta Isra Oilam. The Edus of just warning, which doesn't cause any prohibition. Enodin Shetiskai Beit Echad. Why would that need two? Talmud Loimar Ki Motza Ba Ervas Dava. Ulahalanu Oimer Al Pi Shnei Edim Al Pi Shloshai Edim Yakum Dava. That's by mominus, by money cases. Ma davar amar la'al al pishnayim edim avkan al pishnayim. Freit the Gemara, Hi mechimotza ba ervas davar nafka. Do you learn it out from that pasuk? Mi ba nafka. You learn it out from the aid ain ba. She doesn't have a witness. And we learned ba by aid tuma the law bekinui. One aid works only when you see bia, but not by warning. And ba the law bestira. And ba the law bestira. Bavla bikini, bavla bestira boile. Achanami kamer. Talmud lamer ba, bavla bikini, bavla bestira. And achanami. That the ba comes to say only then, by bia, is 1/8 enough. But by kinu and stira, you need 2. Now the Gemara asks a fundamental question. What we've learned so far, gentlemen, so far, Masechta Sotah is very technical. What we've learned so far is that if there are 2 eidim that hear the man warning his wife not to go into a room alone, and then there's 2 eidim that see them go into a room alone, and then 1 aid shows up and says, oh, I actually saw them having bia, so now there's a prohibition. And the husband can't live with her, and you can't take her up to drink the sotah waters. But it's only in that scenario that 1 aid is effective at prohibiting the wife. Now, Tuma ba'alma below kinuv lo stira, the lo mehem in eid echad minala. But if you don't have warning and you don't have stira, but you have 1 aid showing up that a wife committed bia, that doesn't create any prohibition. How do you know that? Nemar kan ki matzah bo ervas davar. The nemar lo al pi shnei edim al pi shlosh edim yakum davar. Ma davar amar lo al edim shnayim avkan edim shnayim. Okay, we're going to stop here.
Shkoyach, Arnie.
Yeah,
Tomorrow,
Tomorrow?
8 o'clock, 8 p.m.
8 p.m. Very good.
okay.
Good night.
Good work.